Thanks everyone for joining the panel. I'm really excited, to be here and to be moderating. This course is to listen to the three amazing brains next to me. And what we're talking today is about thinking beyond, traditional vanity metrics and measuring what actually matters. So everyone ready? Everyone ready to go? Get into the first question. We got 20 minutes. So question number 1. And Darcy, maybe we'll start with you. Right. So first page rankings and page views used to be the gold standard, right? What KPIs have you moved away from, and what are you measuring instead?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think we've talked about it a lot today. It's less about moving away from and more like adding to. Mm-hmm. SEO still exists. People are still coming in the front door like they always did, so we still have to look at that. But we are starting now to look at, from a GEO perspective, it's sort of like someone said this recently, it's like going back to the Mad Men days, when you didn't have the digital drug of all the data. So what are kind of those metrics that we're looking at? So we're looking at things like the visibility, the sentiment, how much is the brand showing up? So more of those awareness metrics as an additional view of how we're looking at the business, because we still are looking at the old stuff too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, so we live in a 2-channel world. Still important.
Yeah.
Catherine, what do you think?
So I don't know if this is on. Oh, there you go. Okay. So what we're looking at, so we just did a migration from Drupal to AEM, and we consolidated 7 sites. So we have the traditional, how we're driving traffic, but we're also looking at multiple page views. How are they interacting with multimedia versus looking at a PDF? We're also trying, we have a lot of unknown traffic. I work in finance, so it's there's no conversion on the site, right? It's an asset management firm, so we do have a lot of unknown traffic. So we're looking at, are they doing multiple page views, or is our cross-selling working? And we also are looking at what's driving the traffic there, and we had about a 32% increase since June on the LLM traffic, which is great because I just learned that it converts at twice the rate of the other traffic, so we're very excited.
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, I would say that search volume has definitely changed, right? That metric used to be used for forecasting and really pitching content ideas, but that's not necessarily the case anymore. You can rank for content, for keywords that may not even be on your page anymore. So that's definitely shifted. Still relevant. A lot of the traditional metrics still matter. Clicks and impressions, just adding more. So with Conductor and having AI tracking is equally important, just to give the clearer picture of how you're actually performing and can report that up to leadership.
All right. Good stuff. So Catherine, let's start with you for the second question, right? So we're hearing a lot about SEO, AEO, again, acronyms, whatever acronym you want to use, go for it. But really it's coming down to optimizing for humans or AI, right? But that's really the wrong type of framing. How do you help business leaders embrace the end? How do you build a strategy that serves both humans and AI, but measure success across all of it?
Well, for us, I've always had this issue with writers, people who are creating the content. They're like, I don't want to write for a bot, I want to write for a human. But what I tell them is that the humans are using the bot, so if you don't write for the bot, then the human's not going to see your content, right? And that's the ultimate goal. So I think there's a good balance there. The last person up here talked about over-optimizing, right? We don't want to over-optimize, but we do want to make sure that we are driving the right traffic, that we are showing up. We're also looking at agentic sites, right? So do we separate, or is there a way to do it within our site where we can be more accessible to LLMs? And we started working on our schema, so we're doing all those things, but it's a change that we need to push forward. I spoke to the head of product and marketing yesterday, and when we started the conversation, he was like, what's SEO? That's how bad we were at that. By the time I left, he was so into it. He didn't understand about paid search and bidding, and he was fascinated. So I think that helps us because we are going to have to buy some extra tools, right? We're not going to be able to do this with what we have now. So it's great to get the top level buy-in and for them to understand how important it is for us to continue to show up in these experiences.
Yeah, educating people at the higher level is it's so important. And most of the time when you get to that point and you actually have the conversation, they're somewhat enamored by it. They're like, oh wow, that's really interesting, right? And most of the time it's but those conversations don't happen often enough. So 100%. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I would echo what Catherine said. It's important to talk about this shift in search behavior and how it's evolved over time to really get buy-in. So starting with thinking about when SEO was first a thing, we were pandering to search engines and really trying to write for algorithms and crawlers that were hitting our site. And then search engines, of course, became more aware of this. They started forcing updates to make us think about the end user in mind. So then that was the last 5 to 10 years, we had to start thinking about end users in mind. But now AI kind of makes us have a healthy blend of both, where we still have to think about the end user in mind because they're ultimately seeking out the information. They're trying to get the answer that they need. But it just needs to be packaged neatly for search engines and AI search engines to really retrieve, understand what the purpose is, and making sure that our brands are showing up in the right context and in the right place. So I think having that story and really showcasing that, even with data to leadership, really gets them to better understand what SEO is and how it's shifting, and to answer, what is SEO?
Yeah.
Darcy?
Yeah, so for me it's a little different. I'm at WP Engine, and so we are in the website business. And we feel very, very strongly, I feel very strongly, that the website of the future is going to be different. It has to both serve agents and humans. We've talked about that hybrid world. And so, how do you create a website? We all are going to have to redo our website. Hard stop, right? We're all going to have to redo our website. Right now, we're in the middle of redoing ours, kind of drinking our own champagne, trying to figure out how you do that, where the website itself can sense whether or not it's an agent or a human, and then serves up the appropriate experience. Because an agent wants structured, accurate, quality data, and a human wants experience, emotion, brand, that sort of thing. And each one of those are going to require very different measurements of success. And so we're trying to figure out right now, what does all of that look like from a measurement standpoint, because it is going to be different. And getting, certainly product teams on mine, it's fine, but for the rest of the organization, for sales and the CEO and the board, to understand when they see traffic going down and they're like, what's going on? Is demand going down? How is this all working? It's just a constant drumbeat of conversation. Every single meeting I'm in, I'm re-educating on, this is what's happening with the buyer journey. This is how this is changing. This is how we need to look at the world differently. And it's an ongoing, always on conversation to help them understand how these metrics are going to have to change. And we're dealing with it every day. I mean, right now I'm looking at my, my branded search terms, and when you look at paid and SEO, it's going down. How do I know if it's being made up with GEO? I don't know.
You don't know.
So we're having to kind of navigate that water right now, and there's still a lot we don't know that we got to go figure out.
Yeah, and that actually leads pretty perfectly into the next question, which is, it's like measuring things consistently. It's not necessarily just a marketing problem, right? Like, it's across the whole organization. You have to coordinate people across sales, communications, PR, marketing, all the different pieces of your organization. And I guess from there, it's like, what's the biggest challenge that you've faced or had getting teams to move beyond those traditional metrics and think about where the business is at today and what they should be measuring versus what they are comfortable measuring or just used to measuring? Catherine, let's come to you first.
Well, I have that issue with our media team, because the media team, it feels like all their responsibility is to get to the person to the page, right? Or get the visit to the page, the hit to the page. They don't care that they bounce under a second. I can't get them to change our reporting to just look at the people that are there more than a second. So because that's how they don't see it holistically. So I love the panel that was up here earlier today, and discussion about it's everybody's responsibility. Everyone should be doing SEO. So we were just talking to Paul, who runs our SEO program, about getting access to Conductor for all of our writers and for the media team, and for them to understand that we can't, it's not a numbers game, it's a quality game. And we have to make sure that we're driving the right kind of traffic and that we're putting out, the right kind of content for our clients.
Darcy, thoughts?
Yeah, no, that last, it's 100% it. It's all about how do we train people to talk about quality and not quantity, right? MQLs are going to go down, but pipeline should be going up. right? Pipeline should be going up. And so how do you help your sales teams like stop orienting to these top of funnel, which now are almost vanity metrics, because they don't matter. And I get it, because the sales team staff to lead volume, right? So they're like, but I've got people that are starving, but the people that are there, they're getting better pipeline. And so it's like getting frontline sales reps comfortable with the fact that you're not going to deal with as many leads every day, but when they do come in, they're going to be really good, and they're going to translate into great pipeline, which is going to translate and close deals, which is going to help you hit your quota better and faster. But right now it feels hard because quantity is down, and it feels bad. And so that's the conversation we're having every day, is you've got to change your perspective from quantity to quality.
Chris?
Yeah, I think the two challenges really, luckily at Wyndham, we're pretty open to the concept of AI, and we know that it's important. I think it's just getting, and it's a traditional dating back to the time of when SEO first started, is making sure that we're always having a seat at the table. I think that's important for all of SEO, and then also just making sure that we need to action on it quick. We may be talking about it, which is good and a great first step to have these quality conversations and know what matters and what needs to be done, but then actually actioning on it and making sure that all teams are aligned. It's something, again, it ties back to where the basics of SEO happen, and also the basic challenges that are inherently happening because of SEO. So luckily, our company is doing a great job of being aware and having these conversations, just getting everyone to move as quickly as we would like, and that's hard even for SEO. We have a lot of challenges inherently too.
And so thinking about all that and thinking about how AI has changed, the way that people are engaging with your website, and like zero-click search is, very much on the rise, obviously. Like, how are y'all rethinking like what engagement actually means? Like, how are you like thinking about defining what engagement means moving forward? Darcy, we'd love to hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, it's an important question. I loved the panel just before this where the gentleman said that, we were looking at very small data sets and trying to piece together lots of little data pieces to see what's happening. And we're doing that, right? We're looking at all these different bespoke pieces and trying to stitch them together to create a story of what's happening. We're definitely seeing that people, it appears, I won't say definitely, it's too strong of a word. It looks like people that are coming in from the LLMs come in back through direct traffic, and when they hit the homepage, the homepage now has a different meaning for them because they're going straight to buy. So we're seeing that, we're actually seeing that happen. The people that are coming from traditional search, they're going through different stages. So our challenge right now is like, how do you disaggregate your direct traffic, get the bots out so it's truly humans and being able to see what they're doing. But that's how we're going to be looking at engagement, is like, where did you come from? And then our expectations of engagement is going to look a little different. So if you're coming from LLMs, we hope it's like really fast and you just immediately go to some sort of transaction. But if you're coming from more traditional, then it's going to be the more traditional, how many pages did you go to, time on site, things like that. But I don't think those metrics are going to be relevant in an LLM buyer journey.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things you just said there was expectations of engagement.
Yeah.
Right? Like because I think that's really where everyone is stuck on, especially leadership at companies, which is what is the expectation that everyone is setting moving forward.
Exactly.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I like to think of engagement a little differently. I'm only one of a great SEO team. They're over there in the corner on the left side, but something that we do that is a really great idea that I think everyone, and whether you're part of product, SEO, play around with the search engines. We, a few months ago, had a small group activity. We just went on to ChatGPT. We entered branded search queries, non-branded search queries that have nothing to do with the hospitality industry. And you can look it up. If you go to any search engine publisher, you could see a quick guide on how to go into the console of ChatGPT and see its logic and reasoning. It's really cool and a great activity because it will show what's going into their mind being ChatGPT. It's kind of weird because you'll see them talking to itself. So if I put in hotels in New York City, you'll see ChatGPT's reasoning state, users searching for a hotel in New York City. Should I look at hotels with high reviews? Maybe so. It's weird. It's talking to itself. But it's equally interesting to see what it's going into. So when we're thinking of engagement, we noticed a common trend that they're always looking at hotels in blank. Let's look at top reviews. Are you looking for a shampoo? Let's look at highly rated reviews. So it's really important to think about that and how engagement is not only from the user, but how chat and AI and everyone else, they all care about that. So it's not only us as a user who's looking at a hotel and wondering, I want a good experience. Chat is very much aware of this and wants you to have that as well and knows that you're looking for that. So by default, it's going to look for that. And that's what, tying back to the previous question too, you can show that, do that small activity with leadership and show this is exactly what's going verbatim in the back end, that you can do this with that activity and show them, and they'll be more privy to understand what it is that we need to do from there.
Catherine?
Well, I'm at this great place where we have a brand new site. We're starting everything from the bottom, right? So we had 7 sites, I had 7 home pages, now I have 1 home page. So we're resetting what engagement is. And we used to measure it on time on page, PDF downloads, things like that. So now we also moved all of our metrics into Power BI. And there's a chat bot on Power BI. So I can query Power BI for my analytics. So we're reestablishing what engagement means for us right now. And because we're not, commerce-based, our conversions are sharing, subscribing, things like that.
Yep.
So that is really what I'm focusing on. What is the journey? Getting more information on the journey, getting like a quality of the person, the visitor, but then also quality of the visit. So that's what we're trying to figure out right now. So
that's cool. And I mean, kind of everyone's starting over right now, right? And I think that's like something that everyone should recognize and just be okay with. And I think it's okay to talk about that. That's like, hey, listen, like everyone's learning together. I think there are a lot of people, at least, like folks that I talk to, that are very nervous about having that conversation. Is that we're starting over. But we're all learning together. No one really knows the exact formula yet, but it's going to be fun over the next 18 months, 2 years, 3. As we all figure it out, right? But I think that's something that we all have to be comfortable with. It's okay to start from scratch and be like, hey, let's start with a base, and then we'll build off of that. All right. So last few minutes that we have here, the burning question. So for the folks out there struggling, who may not be comfortable moving away or just kind of stuck in their way, what is the one thing that you would tell them to start measuring differently tomorrow? And Chris, let's start with you.
Yeah, that's a tough one because we're all in that seat where we're trying to learn a little bit more of it. So one thing to pick up on, I say get in the weeds of it. It really helps. It's one thing to talk about AI and understand the metrics, and there's all these great platforms, especially Conductor. We're investing a lot into making sure that we're tracking, but really actually look at the data. It's difficult because we all have a lot going on. We're dealing with the inherent challenges of AI. It's always changing. We don't know if Google AI mode will become the default search engine. We don't know if transactions will go through there, how it will be monetized. So it's a lot that we're thinking about, and then also trying to figure out how to measure success. So I say go into the data. I double down again on that small group activity. It's fun to just go in, dissect a little bit of how search engines are working, whether through search operators or in the back end of ChatGPT, and understand how your brand is showing up, whether for non-branded or what you would expect. If you do an unbranded search and you don't see your brand, we'll look at to why. There's all those fan-out experiences that you can see what those keywords are. That's important too. If you do the fan-out experience, I'm looking for hotels in New York City, fan out to best hotels, hotels with family-friendly, and then it keeps fanning out and fanning out. Those long-tail keywords have a lot of information that you could check because people are asking them. It may not have a high search volume, but as I said, that's not as relevant these days. So if it's 10 monthly search volume, that's important because those could be 10 potential customers that are actually converting. So doing that experiences, getting in the weeds of it is really what I suggest.
Darcy?
Yeah, so, it's funny. When I first started thinking about AI, it was like so overwhelming and so scary. And so I had intense imposter syndrome. I don't know if any of you guys had that as well. But I was at another CMO conference and I finally said it out loud, and everyone in the room was just like, oh my God, thank you. Yes, we all are feeling it. And I think at that moment it was such a huge unlock for me, which is we're all in this same boat of the world is changing. We have to start over. In my 30 plus years of experience mean nothing. I got to start all over and learn it all over again. And that's when I just started moving. And it's like, okay, I don't have to have it all solved. I don't have to know everything. Just start. Just do something. And so for me, it's just like find those little things. Go start measuring whatever you can, because maybe you don't have enough stuff right now. What can you measure? What can you look at? Find one or two things, start seeing what that data is saying, see what data that you already have you can stitch together into a story, and then you go, okay, this is a new dashboard I should start looking at on a regular basis because I'm seeing this kind of pattern emerge. And slowly, but then it gets momentum, you will have dashboards that you didn't have before. You're going to start looking at your business differently. I know for me, I'm nowhere close to being done with figuring out what the metrics are going to be and what the ultimate scorecard's going to be. But you can't wait. It's happening too fast, so just move fast.
Yeah, get to V1 and then build off of V1, right?
Yep.
Catherine, thoughts? Round us out.
Yeah, I would just say very similar to what you guys just said was much more about like looking at the smaller sets of data, right? So we only have hundreds of visitors coming from LLMs, but it's important for me to look at that and what that's going to, mean in the future, and to have more of an emphasis on organic. And that's hard for a firm because you can't control the organic as much as you can the paid. So I would say just, try to start slicing it out and start looking at the smaller data, like turn it on its head.
Yeah, great. So Darcy, Catherine, Chris, thank you so much for coming today and sharing your knowledge and your experience. We really appreciate it. And everyone, let's give them a round of applause. That's our time.